All right, here we go. Episode number 6 of San Francisco Training Camp Live with Joe Shasky, the Butcher of Bonta Hill. And what do you know? We have a game to react to. We're not just talking practice. We're actually talking about a game, although it wasn't a regular season game. It was an exhibition. We don't even care who won the damn game. I think the Niners lost. I wasn't even sure as we saw the end of the game there. I think it was I don't even know who was playing.
19-16.
Yeah,
the Chiefs won.
I don't
Joe
even
Montana beat Joe Montana, but number 19 beat number 16.
You sure it wasn't Steve DeBerg, Lynn Dawson? I mean, come on, man.
Probably better.
But no, we got our first glimpse of Trey Lance in a game. Not just practice, in a game. And we saw Trey Lance dazzle right away there with the first play. Play action pass, throws a dart to Brandon Ayuk. He drops it. It's okay. He gets sacked on the third play of the game. And then the fourth play happened. The fourth play happened where magic was in the air. And Shasky, like you did on the show today, I would like you to wax poetic on how it felt to see number 5 Trey Lance trot onto Levi Stadium for the first time.
Well, there's certain moments that you just remember as a sports fan. I remember when, Colin Kaepernick came in for an injured Alex Smith in the Rams game. And the crowd was like, ooh, oh my gosh. And it ended up being a nothing moment for him. The following week, which I'll get to in a second, ended up being that come to Jesus moment for him where everything aligned perfectly and the stars worked themselves out. Patrick Willis laying out Brad Smith over the middle in a no-nonsense Jets-Niner game from 2007. It was like, oh my God, he has arrived. David Carr, some of the lowlights, replacing Alex Smith. We want Carr. And the whole entire stadium lighting up when he goes out there, only to have him look absolutely horrible. Mike Singletary calling timeout, Bonta, bringing the whole 75-man roster together. Everybody in the stands like, oh, my God, here we go. Very next play, Roddy Wright, 80-yard touchdown, and it didn't work. This was totally different. This reminded me of Colin Kaepernick making that first throw on Monday Night Football against the Chicago Bears down the sideline to Kyle Williams, where the whole stadium, the air kind of came out and then breathed back in to the stadium. It was unlike anything I've ever seen. He steps onto the field, and Bonta, Levi Stadium was electric. People were standing, clapping. They're losing their minds. He takes that first drop back, and everyone is on the edge of their seats, leaning forward. And as he started to scramble and come toward the line of scrimmage to eventually make a throw, you'd have thought this team was going for an NFC Championship victory in the final 2 minutes for a chance to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, I cannot explain how exhilarating that 2 to 3 seconds was. And he just throws an absolute howitzer down the field to Brandon Ayuk, and he just drops it. And then everybody's eyes go up to the 2 jumbotrons, one on the south end, one on the north end. And the next thing you know, you see Brandon Ayuk just drop the ball, and everyone turns to the guy or gal next to him and says, oh, my God, we've got a quarterback.
Joe, it's so funny you say that because in the press box, obviously, we have the TVs there, and they're a little delayed. So as soon as Ayuk dropped it, I lean back to my press box seat, and I'm looking back to see the replay. And then I got enough time to look at the Jumbotron to watch it in real time with the faithful out there at Levi Stadium. And I was just like, wow, what a throw. What a throw. And I heard Marcus Thompson of the Athletics and left and he said, let it fly. And I wanted to get up out my seat as he stepped up in the pocket and got out of there. Look, that was an impressive damn throw. But none was probably more impressive, or no throw captured the imagination like the fourth play he took, or the fourth snap he got Saturday night against Kansas City. Takes the ball, gets the ball, hike, play action pass, rolls out to his left, sets up on the hashes. Now, had Brandon Ayuk running a crossing route where Brandon Ayuk had a couple steps on a Kansas City defender. That's a 15, 20-yard gain. Probably the right play to make. Trey got greedy and said, nah, I'm going to give these fans a show. And I'm going to show everybody what I've been doing in training camp. And he let that baby fly across the field, damn near to the right sideline to a Sherfield who was running in stride. He didn't have to break stride. Watch it right in the bread basket over 2 defenders And 80 yards we go. You got the Bertha Trey area, and the Niners score a touchdown there. And nobody remembers Robbie Gold missing the extra point. No. Nobody remembers at all. It was like, if there's an extra point to miss, that was the one to miss for Robbie Gold, because everybody was just sitting there scratching their head saying, did you see Trey do that? Oh, my gosh, Trey Lance. Did you see him make that throw? And it was a duck with so much velocity. It didn't even matter. Like a Jimmy Garoppolo duck is getting picked, right? He throws this duck that it felt like it was going 90 miles per hour, and he hit Sherfield right in stride for a touchdown.
It was unbelievable. I mean, to throw that from where he did on the hashes up to the opposite side of the field, I don't think people understand, even though it wobbled a little, how hard he threw that bad boy, because it stayed in the air and went right over the top of the cornerback and the safety. Look, Bonta, that play alone is the one that everyone's going to point to because of the touchdown and the way Trent Sherfield, he didn't catch it. That ball caught him. But my bigger takeaway was the moxie and the ability for this kid who hasn't played a lot of football to come into an NFL environment. Probably, I mean, is that the most fans he's ever played in front of? Like, that's possible. Something that I hadn't even thought of. Yeah. I don't know.
It's possible. North Dakota State, how much are they drawing?
That's what I'm saying.
How much is Youngstown State filling up out there in Ohio? You know what I'm saying? Like, even the championship game against James Madison in Frisco, Texas.
Right.
I don't think there's that many. I mean, there was 50,000 at Levi Stadium.
100%. And I was so blown away with his moxie. He didn't take any delay of game penalties. It seemed like he was getting the team lined up and ready to go. He knew where to point out for some of the other players that were backups. And he was playing with backups on his side against first stringers. Yeah. So all that contextualized, it was a great first outing for the kid. Absolute great first outing for the kid. And Bonta, that wasn't even his best throw of the night. No. You might think it was. There were 3 or 4 other throws throughout that night that I was like, dude, I haven't seen a blade of grass get thrown to on this field like that since coming here in 2014. Like, honest to God, God bless Jimmy and his soul. He might be the starter week 1, but there were spots on that field that defenses just didn't have to cover with these old quarterbacks. Now, with this kid, every inch of that entire field must be worried about.
You notice how the grass is always greener outside the numbers, and in the middle of the field, it's kind of chewed up. Well, this season, if Trey does play quarterback, the grass on the outside that looks so green, it's going to look like the middle of the field. It's going to be chewed up. You're going to get guys out there in space, and some of the throws you're talking about, the 1-yard line, where hitting the Niners down to the 1-yard line. And it's right in my vantage point in the press box. You're sitting right up there at 327. And I'm thinking to myself, ooh, this is good for Trey Lance. 1-yard line. It's got to go 99 yards. What does he do in the end zone? Please, Shanahan, let him throw on first down. That's what I was telling myself. Let him throw on first down. He goes play action. And Charlie Warner runs a nice route. And Lance hits him in stride. So he has the ability to turn and run and pick up a big chunk. What do you get? Like 34, 35 yards on the play. That was a great throw. I know you love the Richie James Jr. throw where he dropped it on an out route and Trey Lance is in the pocket and he's sitting and he just zips it to the outside. I'm thinking, oh no, he's late to the outside. Oh no, it just hit Richie James Jr. in the hands and he dropped it. And it was like, wow, this guy has so much confidence throwing outside the numbers. And that's something that's been missing from our 49ers quarterback in quite some time.
Well, and just let's look at the footwork on the 2 screen passes that were considered runs, and I'm doing air quotes here, to Juwan Dennings. I mean, you can't get it out any quicker than that and more toward the guy can catch it and turn upfield. I mean, ball placement is very important. Very important. The other 2 throws that I want to highlight, one of them was where he stepped up and tried to throw Ross Dwelley open over the middle, and he sailed it a little to the left. His footwork wasn't perfect, but his ability to step up in the pocket and try to throw it to where only his receiver can get it, that to me is something that you either have or you don't. Now, you can teach it up a little here and there, but his ball placement and understanding of I'm going to throw it to where only my guy can get it, and if it goes incomplete, I'm okay with that. It's just very refreshing to see from a 49er quarterback. There's another throw I want to highlight, which we didn't talk about on today's radio show. Over the middle, he stepped up, and rifled one to Richie James Jr. on a slant over the middle. I thought he showed great moxie. It wasn't his first read. He threw it over the middle. I thought Richie James Jr. alligator armed it, to be totally honest with you. Maybe it was a little high, which can happen with the kid's arm. But those are the kind of plays, stepping up in the pocket, That's the stuff I like seeing from the kid.
And Richie James Jr., alligator arming that football is not good for him. He's fighting for a roster spot. You got to go in there and make that play. Like, there's no doubt about it. So we'll get to Richie James.
I'm so out on real quick. I'm so out on Richie James.
I'm disappointed because you see the flashes. You think back to 2019, the play that changed the first Arizona game between the Niners and the Cardinals, the wide receiver screen that goes for 50 plus. It changed the game when the Niners are down 16-0. You see the Green Bay game. Hell, he had a return against the Rams on Saturday night of that same season. Remember that? Big time return to get the Niners set up.
Week 16.
Get it rolling week 16 on a Saturday night in a classic against the Rams. Thursday Night Football last year against Green Bay, where he's out there rolling with River Craycraft and Trent Taylor. He goes and secures 8-9 catches for over 150 yards. He's disappointing because you see the talent there. Yeah. You see sometimes the talent, and for whatever reason, he can't put it together. Another guy, Travis Benjamin, just get him off the roster already. What are we doing?
Oh, dude.
He's done.
Dude.
He wants nothing to do with football.
Can you fight for a football? Just pretend like you want it?
He's cooked. He's absolutely cooked. But I want to bring up something here, and it's rolling through the Twitter right now because we are live here on San Francisco Training Camp Live with Joe Shasky, the Butcher, and Bonta Hill. Of course, hosting the morning roast from 6 to 10, Monday through Friday. Catch this bad boy on the Odyssey app, exclusively on the Odyssey app. Steiny, Guru, and Dibs were talking about Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance, and Steinitz basically said Jimmy Garoppolo equals Kevon Looney and Trey Lance equals James Wiseman. Now, without knowing no other context to that analogy, I still disagree with it. To call Jimmy Garoppolo Kevon Looney, I think that's a little unfair. That's a little unfair to Jimmy Garoppolo. He likes to keep it safe, but the no throws are coming on throws where he is taking a gamble. Kevon Looney, I love the guy, but he sets screens and he may get you a bucket here and there. Trey Lance being James Wiseman, I think Trey Lance is almost like he's damn near in that LeBron category where we're expecting him to be a Hall of Famer right off the rip, to where James Wiseman, okay, he played 3 college games, 69 minutes. He was okay. Last year he gave you 12 and 6. But I don't see the distinction there with that analogy. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't hold water for me. There's just too many loopholes. And Jimmy's better than Looney. And I think Lance is farther along than where James Wiseman is. Although I understand where it would make sense for someone because of the lack of games and stuff like that. I think the sophistication from Trey Lance, some people just don't know football, Bonta. I mean, let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. They just don't know what they're talking about or what to look for. I mean, you want to blame Trey Lance for holding onto the ball. My argument and all the sacks that he got was, dear God, he had no time to throw. I'd like to see him with the first unit offense. I'd like to see him throwing to George Kittle. James Wiseman got the opportunity to play alongside Steph Curry and still couldn't really make things happen. Give George Kittle an opportunity to catch passes from Trey Lance, and it's going to look electric, B.
No, you know what drives me crazy is that the same things people are pointing out for Trey Lance. Oh, he took 4 sacks. Oh, he almost threw a couple picks. Focus on that. Well, when we focus on that when it came to Jimmy Garoppolo, the narrative was different. The line didn't block for him. They don't have any wide receivers. Well, this guy's out there playing with, I don't even know who, other than Richie James Jr., he played with Ayuk and Debo, and you saw what happened there. He hit Ayuk straight in the hands. Matter of fact, I don't even think Debo was in on that possession. He played with Sherfield, but he was playing with Charlie Warner, Richie James Jr.
But Juwan Jennings didn't even play last year.
Right. Juwan Jennings didn't play last year. Juwan Jennings looked good, but those were the type of players James Wiseman was playing with. Well, as you said, Trey Lance. As you were saying, James Wiseman's playing with Stephen Curry, Draymond Green, and Andrew Wiggins. Trey Lance is playing with guys who may not even be on this roster. Let's just be real here. So for him to basically produce the type of game he produced behind that offensive line, we're just lucky the young man survived behind that offensive line. Like, he took some shots in that first half, and I'm thinking to myself, all right, that's it. That's enough. And Shanahan still threw him out there to start the third quarter. I love the reps. I love the repetitions. But for him to do what he did with that core, now let me see him with the ones. Because I think if he does it with the ones, Jimmy's not getting that job back.
No. Well, and look, they sounded like, to me, they mandated that the kid doesn't run, and they limited the amount of boots. Notice all his successful plays came on movement plays for him, which is what he's going to excel at. Why would you want to treat this kid like a statue? Well, because you want to see him in an environment that maybe he's not the greatest at in the pocket, which I get. It's a preseason game. It's his first action. And why would I want to showcase all my wrinkles if I'm Kyle Shanahan as I prepare for week 1 against Detroit? I don't want Detroit to know anything that I'm doing. Yeah. It sounds like Trey Lance has taken anywhere between 6 and 8 snaps every single day at practice with the first unit, doing the zone read and the read option type stuff. We didn't see any of that, Bonta. We didn't see any real pistol, quote unquote, formations. So I'm assuming maybe we get a little taste of something like that in the next 2 weeks. Who knows, though?
Hey, and you know what? Why? Like, people making a big deal about Shanahan not letting a young man play. Like, hey, man, open up the playbook and do it. Why would you show Detroit anything? Keep it as vanilla as possible. And it's obvious what Shanahan was doing. Get comfortable in the pocket. Get comfortable in the pocket. Let me see you in the pocket. And he stood in the pocket, and look, he held on to the ball at times a little too long, but so does Jimmy Garoppolo. I saw Jimmy Garoppolo hold on to the ball in practice. It's practice without shoulder pads, and he's out there holding on to the ball, taking sacks in practice. Like, Trey Lance wants to make it rip, and, we touched on some of the throws and some of the near interceptions. He got fooled with the cover 2. Corner dropped off, sagged off. Could have had an easy interception there. Trey's got to get better at that.
Of course.
He'll film, and he'll say, okay, I was duped there. And as you mentioned earlier on the show, Juwan Jennings may have been open because he was matched up on a linebacker. Another one was the Wayne Gallman play where Wayne Gallman's coming around on the quick slant left to right, and Trey just kind of holds onto the ball. He's got to get it there. Just let your players, it's okay to throw the 2-yard pass here and there because you got a guy like Gallman or Jennings or Sermon, guys who could make things happen when they get the ball in their hands. They could make a man miss and go pick up yards. So he will get better in that department. He wasn't perfect, but damn, the flat were great.
I mean, look, for a kid who's coming straight out of college, who's 20 and has never played in 500-something days, sure could have fooled me. His polish under center, the footwork, cadence, command at the line, moxie, patience in between plays to get the team huddled up and ready to go. His comprehension of the verbiage to be able to line up his teammates. He seemed to be mentally and polish-wise, he seemed to be an NFL player. And so to me, that was just not that I was, worried. It's part of the checklist before that we can get ready to hand this guy the reins to the entire franchise. You gotta hit certain benchmarks. So for me, he hit all those benchmarks. Look, I want to see him in a 2-minute drill. I want to see him go through his progressions and take a little bit of what the defense can get you. But I don't want him to lose that aggressive nature, which is going to separate him from some of the other quarterbacks in 49er history. Like, throw the ball downfield, young man. I'm okay with a turnover here and there. I think people are way too obsessive over turnovers. When you're an explosive, high-power player, you're going to turn it over, but you're going to make up for it with big explosive plays.
There's no doubt. And look, a lot of defenders are going to drop Trey's passes because there's so much velocity on the football.
Absolutely.
It's going to break some fingers, man. His own receivers can't catch his passes right now. Hey, what do you think some defenders are going to do on the other team here? I want to break this to you because this is interesting to me. And I wonder how Kyle Shanahan will go about his business when it comes to Trey Lance going against the number 1 defense. Adam Johns covers the Chicago Bears for The Athletic. He says Bears coach Matt Nagy indicates that quarterback Justin Fields, their number 1 overall pick out of Ohio State, will get more time with wide receiver Allen Robinson and other starters also against the number 1 defense. He called it part of the evaluation process and part of their plan. Now, Shanahan a week ago said, look, Trey will play. He will have some packages every single game. But when is Trey going to go against the number 1 defense? When he's going to play? Because we've already seen him play with Ayuk and Deebo Samuel, and he's thrown some dimes to George Kittle in practice. But when is he playing behind that first-string offensive line? And will we see him go against the ones against the Chargers down to these joint practices Thursday and Friday? That's the next step. And I think that's the step. That's the step for Trey to go ahead and take the job. But Matt Nagy in Chicago – it's basically like, look, I've seen enough of Andy Dalton. I know what Andy Dalton's bringing to the table. This number 1, this hotshot kid, I need to go with this guy to save my job. And Matt Nagy's ahead of the curve there.
Well, and their situation's a little different. I mean,
It
they've
is.
got quarterbacks that I would deem to be, even on their best day, lesser than Jimmy Garoppolo. And so their situation is just a little different, And
Their defense
Justin
is soft,
Fields,
though, right?
their defense is very. There are some similarities. There are some differences. I don't dismiss that. I think you're 100% spot on regarding the assessment of what's going to happen this week with the Chargers. I think it's going to be fascinating. Shanahan is not allowing the media to see practice the next couple of days.
You know what, though?
I think
Mayoko took that back from NBC Sports. He said the media is allowed in.
Oh.
He said it was a typo. So Mayoko said. So the media will be there. The general public will not be allowed to watch practice.
All right, let's rat-a-tat-tat some other thoughts just real quick on the team as a whole, because we're obviously obsessed about Trey Lance, and how could you not be? I'm worried about the secondary. I like the two young corners that came out there and play. I don't know what has happened to Emmanuel Mosley, but man, I didn't see a whole lot from him. He didn't play a whole lot. I'm not sure he's my guaranteed day one starting opposite corner of Verrett. Don't know what's going on with safety. And if there's any way to go get DeCastro, the guard who was released from Pittsburgh, I think you have to make a move like that.
Yes.
You almost drafted that guy. To me, if DeCastro can be had right now, I think you bring him in. If it's a money thing, I'm telling you this right now, if it's a money thing and you simply can't bring him in, find a way to move off of Jimmy Garoppolo and bring in DeCastro. Like, that's where I'm at right now.
Or restructure a contract. Tell Jimmy, hey, look, if you're starting, you need a right guard. You can't move like Trey Lance.
Yeah.
If you play behind Brunskill or Banks, who's out for 2 to 3 weeks, you're going to get destroyed, and Trey Lance will take your job.
Exactly.
You want to keep your job, restructure, give up some money, and bring in David DeCastro. I'm surprised nobody's jumped all over him.
Yeah, it's automatic for me. He's a mauler. I don't know why you wouldn't want to get him. The other things, real quick, Hufanga looks like a player. I know you're a little skeptical of him in pass coverage. Totally fair. I think he cleans plays up. I like him a lot. Don't trust Wilson at this point. I'm a little worried about the defensive line. Are you guys going to play at all in the preseason?
Yeah.
Are we sure? Like Javon Kinlaw, he's at the spot in his career. He doesn't have to play. Are we sure about that? I'm not saying that the guy isn't good. It's like, damn, can I just see some of these dudes?
Well, here's an update real quick on David DeCastro. I hadn't even realized this, but he told a Pittsburgh Steelers beat reporter at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that he has bone spurs in his ankle. He may need a third ankle surgery, which is probably why he hasn't been picked up, and he's thinking about retirement because the ankle's just not cooperating. So that makes sense of why a player like DeCastro has not been picked up yet, because this guy is a problem. When he's healthy and he's right, he is one of the best guards in football. So, oh man, that's tough. So anyway, you talk about the safety out of USC. He makes plays. Look, he's going to get beat in coverage. I get that. You're going to have to live and die with some things here. Is he worse than Jaquiski Tartt? This guy looks like a thumper.
Right?
He wants to play the run game.
Right?
Like he's going like from deep third to he's playing the center field to all of a sudden playing in the box. He is everywhere. So I thought he played really well. Jonas Griffith, number 53, middle linebacker, made some plays out there. He flashed a lot. I thought Artie Key made some plays. We didn't really talk about Artie Key.
That's a good point.
He had to play short yardage situation where he stuffed his blocker and he held his ground and made a play down there on the short yardage situation against Kansas City. Artie Key's impressing me right now, Shasky, and I think there's a role for him on his football team.
No doubt about it. He's a situational pass rusher. I like him. He actually almost got 2 quarterback hits. He kind of eased up on 2 of them. Let me throw another name at you. I thought JaMychal Hasty looked really good. And I don't want to lose my mind because it was late in that game. But between him and Simba, wiggle and jukes and burst.
Hey, you know what, JaMychal Hasty, we went crazy over him against the Rams last season on Sunday Night Football. When the game got hairy and they needed to get a couple first downs, it was Hasty running the rock. And he was running it hard. He was getting you 8, 9 to pop. He puts his head down. He runs with physicality, which is what Shanahan is looking for. There's some opportunity for JaMychal Hasty, especially with the injury to Jeff Wilson Jr. You know, Mostert, you never know with him whether or not he's going to stay healthy. And then Trey Sermon, it wasn't his best game. I don't think it was as bad as what people made it seem like to be. I know the yards per carry will tell you 2.9. That's not sexy. There wasn't much out there for him.
No.
I thought he ran with some power. He ran with some force. I think Sermon will be okay, but Hasty, Gallman in the pass game. I like these stable of running backs, no doubt about it. And Jennings, we kept talking about Jennings.
Yes.
Jennings looked promising. He really did.
Two quick areas. Wisnowski, I don't know what's going on with the punts. I don't know. Gold, okay, I'm not going to freak out. You played in the league for a long time. I am a little concerned he's at the end. But Wisnowski, what the heck's going on there? The punter.
The kicking game is a problem. There's no doubt. I was very disappointed with the punts from Mitch Wisnowski. You look at Townsend from McKenzie.
He's a baller.
He's booming them, and he's pinning the Niners down inside the 5-yard line. Wisnowski, I don't know. And what did you spend, a third-round pick on him?
Yeah, fourth.
I didn't mind it at the time, but I thought this guy was the next Ray Guy or something. He doesn't look good, man.
No.
I'm not sure about Wisnowski.
Hey,
I'm disappointed in him.
He ain't no Andy Lee. I'll tell you that right now.
He's not at all. He's not at all, man. Damn, that was 30 minutes. Man, we'll keep going here. Training Camp Live. San Francisco Training Camp Live exclusively on the Odyssey app. Joe Shasky, the Butcher, Bonta Hill. Look, game 2 against the Chargers. They're going to have joint practices Thursday and Friday. This is the week where we could see some movement, especially at the quarterback position. Remember, John Lynch said, we haven't named Jimmy Garoppolo our week 1 starter yet. That job is up for grabs. Trust me. For Skip Bayless, a.k.a. Joe Shasky, for Shannon Sharp, a.k.a. Bonta Hill, because apparently these takes are too hot for people. That's it for us. We'll see you on Friday at high noon. If not, catch us on the morning roast every day, Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll be breaking down 49ers football all season long, man. Take care, everybody.